Congratulations on staying sane, Exiles! Path of Exile's 3.26 expansion was finally revealed, and my mind was blown away with probably the biggest bomb drop ever. Here is my reaction to Path of Exile: Secrets of the Atlas.
You can search 1,000 worlds and still never truly discover who you are. Trust me. I should know. But now, I seek something more tangible. Someone I care for, trapped within the Atlas. Reliving memories, made real.
What have you done?
Made grotesque. Made foul. These manifestations must be destroyed. Their threads must be eradicated. I must have answers. We must find the originator. We must save my sister.
The bomb drop! Holy shit! Well done, GGG.
Made real.
A completed Kingsmart. Beautiful. Rune
Come,
Rot.
child. Drink deep the waters of life.
Betrayal.
You're either a client or a target.
Target inside.
Ooh.
Just done.
Mercenaries of Trarthus. Since like... Okay.
Your sanity is not promised to you here.
What voice was that? Was that Sana?
If your eyes teared up, same by the way, and your vision got blurry, you might have overlooked some things. So let's go over their content reveal and some tidbits from the patch notes together. Let's jump in. Get it? Mario, Switch 2, you get it. Starting off with Secrets of the Atlas, a brand new Atlas storyline and an addition to the current Siege of the Atlas endgame system. So 3.26 adds an addition to the current storyline and isn't replacing anything. You find tears in reality, also called threads of consciousness, during your endgame mapping. Standing next to them is Egan, who is Zana's brother. I like how they don't even hide his last name in the screenshots. Kaiserius, I hope I'm saying this right, which is Valdo's last name, Valdo being the Shaper. Egan can use his magic gauntlet, transfer the substance to the map device, which uncovers a thread of memories. Zana's memories. To help Zana, we gotta jump into those memories, fight our way through the thread, and ultimately defeat some big baddies. I'm playing this down a lot, even though I'm very excited to see where the story goes and how it ends. Especially with Zana wearing this outfit. People screamed Uber-san in the chat, but is it really? We'll find out soon enough. Understanding the gameplay loop from these showcases is a bit difficult to me, but I'll briefly break it down from what I understood. These threads are similar to the Atlas memories we had beforehand. After getting that questionable substance, you can ask Egan, craft the map itself, add some scarabs and stuff to juice it up, blast the map, and at the end, juice a global modifier that affects the future maps in the thread, which all sounds great. But here is what I would have liked and preferred so much, because it's less of a hassle, higher risk and higher reward with potentially less loot spam. I expected to juice the thread itself by crafting it beforehand in Egon's UI, slap in the scarabs and other things and then start the ride. After doing the entire thread in one single run, going from one map straight into the next one, I was rewarded by doing everything deathless. I could have portaled out earlier, but that would have broken the thread. That is not how it works though, which, brutally honest, sucks. And to make it visually clear, I want Thread of Memories to work similar to synthesis. We have the technology, and we had it for a while. Actually, Thread of Memories works similarly already, as they have global modifiers that you can choose at the end after beating the map boss. So it is like synthesis maps, just that you don't go from one map into the next one. You always have to come out of the map to your hideout and then repeat the whole UI shenanigan again. I really hope they would double and triple down on this, but sadly not. Am I still going to enjoy it? I think I will for the sake of the story, but not for the sake of the gameplay long term. But time will tell. Another neat addition are the petals that you gather as you kill enemies that are influenced in the Thread of Memories. These petals can be used to unleash abilities. The abilities can do a variety of things, like change the loot of the monsters, have monsters respawn after they die, and more. Also, I think you can get Headhunter from it, so will be fun playing around with this and seeing how juicy things could get. Of course, this is Path of Exile, so we need another crafting system, but this one is not adjacent to the current one, it's on top of the current one. To briefly explain this, you might use Delph fossils to get the crafting going, then try to get a veiled modifier on it and do some other stuff. I'm not a crafter if you couldn't tell. But items found in the Thread of Memories can have memory strands on them, which drastically boosts the chance to get higher tiers of modifiers. Not only during the crafting process, even just identifying them can result in a pretty good item to begin with. This gives us new currency items called Orb of Remembrance, Orb of Unraveling, and another one just for maps called Orb of Intention. I won't go too in-depth here, as I'm not a crafter, and most likely will sell it to people that know what they're doing. Gassy. Ultimately, the new Atlas expansion has both something for juicers and crafters, which is great. I'm definitely more on the juicer end, but also not crazy about it, as ultimately the UI and having to gather a dozen different items can get a bit annoying and time consuming. The major drive for me to play this Atlas expansion is definitely the storyline. Finding out who Egon is, why the Atlas has taken a hold of ZANAAAAAAA specifically, and finding the originator. Now, with 3 members of the Kaisiris family together, I don't think this will be a happy ending. Moving on to the league itself, Mercenaries of Trarthus, which seems to be on the smaller side, reason being this update also comes with an Atlas expansion, so it kinda makes sense. Think back of Siege of the Atlas and how we had the Arch Nemesis League at the same time. Mercenaries can be found from Act 1 onward throughout the story. They can be hired for gold, which ultimately causes a friendly duel to the death, or they can be exiled if you don't want to see them for a while. So any chaos-related mercenary gets instantly exiled the moment I see them. And you can just ask for their equipment and they will happily give it to you. After a friendly duel of death, that is. Most of their equipment is much better than what you can find on the ground, so sometimes it might be worth risking a death to get that big upgrade. Clearly speaking as a non-hardcore player. Additionally, some equipment of them can have infamous modifiers, which are unique to this league mechanic. They can also use different types of skill gems related to Trarthus, which you can also use if you can get your hands on one. And if you don't care about any of this, you just ask for the currency in their pouch. Hiring seems to be the way to go throughout the story, as they count as a companion and do ultimately affect loot drop. TLDR, the more party members you have, the more loot drops. It's not a proportional increase in terms of loot as seen on the wiki. Still, you might be playing solo and having a mercenary that costed you a bit of gold, giving you 50% increase in currency drops, is an overall good thing. But keep in mind, they are a party member of some sort, so monsters also have more life, especially unique monsters. Think about it twice before going into a major boss with your mercenary. Speaking of, you can tell them to stop helping you or even revive them for some gold if they die in combat. When they are hired, you can change their gear. For example, you could give them a headhunter that you probably have laying around. And don't worry, they won't lose it if or when they die. Overall, a neat league mechanic that I'll be checking out right away to see how it feels and how difficult it truly is. I'm guessing they are roughly as difficult as the rogue Exiles in PoE2, which can be quite tough during the story. Further down the patch notes, Endgame Changes. There are many, and I won't rattle them off, but here's a brief overview. Now with the new thread of memories, the old Atlas memories are gone. Some are probably reintroduced with red tier Keurig missions though. After what feels like a decade, breach splinters finally drop automatically collected at the end of the breach. Same as the recent change in PoE2. I might be doing breach instead of strongboxes in 3.26. Maybe. I don't know, hot take. Commonly found scarabs now drop at higher stack sizes in higher tier maps. Less clicking, let's hack and go. You can use Orb of Horizons on an Elder Guardian or Conqueror map. Could be helpful for another free-to-play challenge video. The Atlas passive tree, the small, the third passive tree in this game, also got a little bit of a touch-up, giving the passives that increase the chance of maps containing a master and extra content to also boost the it's so long, man. So TLDR, if you do the content you like, you will get more content from that content. As in, you do more Legion, you find more Legion scarabs. It's the same as in PoE2. Kind of, right? If you do a lot of Expedition in PoE2, you get Expedition tablets. That's kind of how it should work now in PoE1. King's March becoming a core mechanic also has to be reflected on the Atlas tree, so we got a few new passives there. And, of course, with the new Atlas expansion also come new clusters. You can specify which boss you want to find more often. So for example, if you wanted to farm a certain unique item that only drops from a specific boss, you should be using those passives. Additionally, items with memory strands on it have a 50% chance to be lucky. Lucky meaning that the game creates the modifier twice, and the one with the higher roll is being kept. Pretty straightforward and probably a must-have. Having mentioned it just now, King's March is going core. Question to the viewers right now. You really want to play more Settlers? Even if it lasted a long time, Settlers is a really solid league mechanic, and now with a lot of changes to it, it might be worth using once in a while. Not going over everything, but just know that King's March is fully upgraded and the town building aspect is no more. The currency exchange is available from Act 6 onwards. Gambling for items with gold is available as well and implemented in the story too, for example with Silk in Act 2. Respecking with gold is also available in the story, for example with Bestel in Act 1. Back to King's March, you can still use the farm to get produce, have your mappers, and use Isla for some good old recombination. Shipments also take a lot longer and thus do not require you to go to King's March that often. Rewards are also somewhat adjusted for the extended time. Overall, really good changes as well as adjustments to make it fit into Path of Exile. Another league mechanic which finally, after years, got a rework is Betrayal. A few things that made my ears perk up were the following. The Mastermind boss is now itemized and can be traded for. Defeating the Mastermind boss will not reset your Betrayal board. That means you can set up the board the way you want to and still farm the boss itself. Beautiful change. The All Flame Embers, if you remember them from Necropolis League, are back. They are now part of the Betrayal League mechanic and can be farmed from the Mastermind boss. Veiled Orbs become Veiled Exalted Orbs and do literally the same. And Veiled Chaos Orbs are back now, reforging the item with new random modifiers and a random Veiled modifier. Safe House rewards are completely rebalanced. Most importantly, the crafting one gives you 90 seconds to craft your stuff. Thank frick. I literally skip that one every single time. And most importantly, crafting bench recipes don't need to be unveiled anymore, as they can be found as recipe objects in maps near the boss's map arena. This was just a brief overview. I'm sure people will find more things or find out new ways to use the board to their advantage when we are a few days into the league. And maybe I will do some Betrayal farming strategy in 3.26. We'll see. As always with most updates, we got a bunch more changes, like skill gem changes, support gem changes, ascendancy changes, all them changes. There is a lot, and I will not go over it. If I didn't play the skill, I don't care, nor do I know what it was beforehand, right? I have no experience with it from the past. Also, I'm such an anti-numbers guy, because ultimately, it's a video game. You play the thing. You could have all the numbers, but if it sucks pressing the buttons, it doesn't matter to me. Hey, dude, check out my build, bro. It's really cool. So it's quite tanky, can 3-shot Shaper, and during the mapping process you use 2 war cries every monster pack. It's really cool, does all the... Wait, where are you going? UI and quality of life changes. Hell yes. These are the most important changes, because you're using it probably all the time. Speaking of using it all the time, your mom. We have pausing in Path of Exile 1. Yes, clap it up, boys. Okay, the map device now has a rucksack with a small 4x5 grid. It can store your maps, map fragments, and currency items. Will I use it? I don't know, probably not. Quick use UI is now a thing with strong boxes and essences, similar to what was added to PoE 2. NPCs that you can trade with save the search text on a per NPC basis. Last but not least, the maximum character limit in search text boxes is now increased to 250 characters. The sheer length. With the increase of non-PG friendly jokes, I have to end this video now. 3.26 Secrets of the Atlas looks to be a great update with lots of improvements across the board, more content, and finally a continuation of the endgame storyline. Both crafters and juicers have their work cut out for them to figure things out and min-max the frick out of it. And it all starts on June 13th over on my Twitch. Shameless promotion. Link in the description. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, subscribe. And don't forget to stay hydrated, gamers.